Happy holidays, everybody, and welcome to Geekonomics. We are back. We had planned on doing a show in person. I have a Christmas gift for Brian. I was going to give him on the show,
Oh no.
but Brian has got the cold that is going around and claiming people all around me. I, knocking every piece of wood near me, have not caught it yet because Claire has gotten it. Brian has it. I might be patient zero because everyone around me has it, but I don't have it. So who knows?
Well, I haven't seen you since Wednesday, so
No, I know. I'm just saying.
yeah.
It was more of a joke than anything, Brian. But thanks anyway. It could be because I drink all these vitamin waters and I have full of vitamins, so
That could be it.
fighting them off.
You could be spared.
That's how I'm gonna survive the zombie apocalypse. No Candy Crush and vitamin water.
There you go. Yeah, I started feeling under the weather yesterday, and I was kind of hoping it would just kind of go away, but
Mm,
the postnasal drip turned into a sore throat,
yeah.
stuffy nose, and slight fever, a little bit of the chills. I'm just taking the day stuff. I'm taking the day off to rest.
Mm,
Hopefully I can slowly get back on my feet and be back. I'm hoping and feeling better by Wednesday. That would be great.
yeah.
But I don't know where I got it from. Just one of those things.
Any of you work in a school, there's germs everywhere.
Yeah, I haven't been to work since Thursday. So I did do a lot of holiday shopping this weekend.
Ah, that could be it.
Yeah.
Not amongst the germs.
Yeah, crowded people. Like we were out Friday, Saturday, yesterday.
Mm.
Like so it could have just been I caught it from somebody.
I think this is the first year I have not bought one thing in a store. Everything's been online. Just
Wow.
because people want things that aren't like readily available in stores.
Look at you. We went to the craft fair at the Enfield Mall yesterday.
Ah,
It was packed. Um, it's been packed the last two Sundays I've been there.
yeah,
So we bought a lot from local vendors. I much rather support.
I
Um,
would too. It's just when people don't
I
require.
don't want to give my money to Amazon over the holidays. I'd much rather give it to the
Yeah,
little
whatever.
guys.
If
They
people want
deserve it.
stuff from Amazon, they'll get it. I'm not the one that. It's not for me.
I'm not talking about you, Mark. Don't get so defensive. Talk about me personally. I much rather not. Um, my wife's the other way.
If your
She'll order stuff wherever she can get it.
your
I'm
family wants
like,
a glittered pine cone, definitely stop by the craft show.
they sell more things than glitter pine.
You remember that we used to? I don't know if you did this at your school, but it just like triggered in my brain when I said that. Did you guys ever do the thing in your? I can't remember, probably grade school, where they gave you pine cones and you like either put peanut butter or something else,
Yes, peanut butter and seed. You put it
bird
out for
seed.
the birds.
You
Yeah,
gave that to your mom as a Christmas present.
right. Yeah, I did that.
Kids couldn't get away with that nowadays.
Why?
I don't know if kids would even do that nowadays.
I think little kids may do that.
I don't know if they have art class anymore.
I think they have art class, Mark.
I don't know.
There's
Some
still
schools. I don't know.
there's
I've
art
heard
class.
things about the town of Enfield. They probably not. They probably got rid of it already.
Well, I don't know about Enfield.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyways.
anyway, I
Anyways.
remember that one. So this is our year in review show. We're
Yes.
going to go over our top 12 favorite things of the year,
Yes. Well,
um,
top six each. So it's not
which
like people think it's
well,
going to
it's
be a 12-hour show or anything.
no, but it's top 12. It
Yes.
equals 12. And then before we do that, we have our final review of the year, which is Doctor
Mm.
Who Special 3.
Yes.
And then I'm going to give you the rundown of our top movies and top TV shows of the year that we reviewed. I kept track
Yes.
of everything. I want to go through it all, and we don't have to dwell on anything, but
We should
I
also hit
think
up our, I don't know if you have it handy or easily readily enough, or like top three worst things that we rated of the year.
I'll get into that. I'll get
Yeah.
into yeah. I'll get into that.
Yeah.
But like this will
Or
give us
bottom three, we should
if
call it.
if you maybe want to rethink a score. There's actually one thing I do want to rethink a score of. I'll bring that up. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. We'll get to there. We'll get there.
let's start off. Allison and me. I got Allison to watch.
Or Allison and I, as the proper English would say.
Yes, the proper English. That's what you said. The proper.
Enfield school system for you.
Um, we watched.
Allison and me went down to the creek.
Oh my God! Stop. All right, all right. Listen, I'm not under the weather. Leave me alone. So we watched Special 3 of Doctor Who.
Oh, we're going into that already? Okay.
Yes.
I watched other things. That's what I was going to we're talking about that first. Usually we talk about that first before we jump into
Well, we got a lot to cover this episode.
Oh. Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I jumped the gun.
I finished Blue-Eyed Samurai, and it's amazing. If there was ever a show, I know I talked about this for Scott Pilgrim, but if there's ever a reason to get Netflix for a month, it'd be to watch Scott Pilgrim Takes Off and Blue-Eyed Samurai. Because they're both exceptional.
Wow. Netflix is putting
Blue-Eyed
up.
Samurai was like one of the best shows of the year.
I don't even know what that is. Never even heard of it.
It's exactly what it says. It's a blue-eyed samurai. I'm not gonna tell you any more than that because I'd ruin the story. But it is just knowing how you talked about that video game that was set in like Indo Japan time frame,
Yes.
the samurai game that you played.
Yeah.
It very much I think you would be over the moon about this show.
Oh, it's animated?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it an anime?
I'm gonna say yes, because I'm not sure what constitutes an anime and what doesn't.
Well, if it's made in Japan.
I'm not sure if it was though, so that's the thing.
Well,
I think it's set in that era and set in that space. It has the look of an anime, but
was it
not
called
sure if it's
Blue
actually
Eye?
Blue-Eyed Samurai. Blue Eye Samurai.
I got it.
Yeah.
It's a French American adult animated action streaming television series.
Yeah.
It's a French American.
Yes.
Michael Green. It's a written by a husband and wife.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. Oh, there's a good little. I see the cast.
Yeah. The cast is very
Randall Park, George
Yeah.
Sakai.
good. Yes. Kenneth Branagh played the bad American or bad Englishman.
Missy Oka from Heroes fame.
Yes, he is awesome. He plays Ringo. He is really good.
Christine Cow.
Ming-Na Wen's in it.
Brenda Song.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All
Has a
right.
good
I'm just
character.
listening
There's
out.
a lot of great. Well, they got a great actors in it.
All right. Well, one year I will have to check it out. Keep a tally. Keep a tally.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for something to watch, if you're doing the Christmas break like a lot of people are doing nowadays, it'd be a good show to get in there.
Yeah. I got the Christmas break coming.
Yeah.
This is last week.
I know.
Anything else?
That's about it. That was the only thing I wanted to talk about was Blue-Eyed Samurai.
Okay. I don't have anything other than our main.
I know you only watch one show a week, so
I do. So Doctor Who Special 3.
yes.
Allison and I will start over. We watched it. I have to say overall, I think my favorite was Special 2. This was still good. I was kind of spoiled by some images I saw online. So
That was your mistake.
The fact that we have Dave Tennant,
Yes.
Doctor, and the new Doctor split was kind of cool though. I kind of liked it. It kind of gave Tennant's Doctor and Donna like a happy ending.
Yeah.
And that Tennant is still out there, but he has his own TARDIS. So it's like I wonder what they plan on doing with that.
I think it's a way to them to open up the avenue of him doing like radio plays. Like his adventures can happen in that realm while the show's going on.
Or live action.
Yeah, they talked about that, and he said that he probably isn't going to do. He might do like a special here or there, but he's not going to like do a series or anything because that'd take away from
other projects
whoever's
soon.
doing the Doctor, you know.
Right, right, right.
So I think it's them opening the door to him and Russell Davies doing like I said, like a radio play because he's really big into doing those, the radio
right, and
stuff.
that's very popular amongst Doctor
Huge
Who.
in yeah, huge in England.
Right. Um, I I liked what's his name as the toy maker.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris did a great job.
Yeah.
It wasn't too over the top. I like the premise. I have to say though, out of these three specials, it was kind of the weakest ending for a villain. Um, it was interesting that they're like, let's play a game of catch, of handball, and we'll defeat you that.
Well, yeah, because that's like going back to earlier in the thing where he mentions it's like the one game kind of thing. Like the first game was ball.
Yeah,
So it's like taking it back full
I
circle kind
know.
of thing.
I was like, that's the same game Joey and um um I can't think my brain.
Chandler?
From Chandler, Joey Chandler played a whole game of handball one episode. I
Yeah.
thought without of
Yeah.
it for me it wasn't like they defeated him,
Yeah.
kind of just happened, you know, this character came back just to kind of shoot him with a laser and create two doctors.
Well, I
Uh,
think also it does the thing where it sets up the bigger story because, like he says, like my minions are coming, kind of thing.
yeah,
My minions will avenge
which
me. So it's like to set up that, like, who is the meats bad that he was talking about? Was it the toy maker or was it someone else that's a bigger bad?
right. So you have each other than special two, special one in this have all mentioned there's something else
Yeah,
because so I think that's building towards something like you say when we have the new
Christmas
doc
special.
Christmas special or the next season that starts next year.
Yeah,
I am excited for the Christmas special. I liked the TARDIS had a jukebox. I
yeah,
like that's kind of cool. I like the new Doctor. We don't know. We got a flavor of him. We
yeah,
don't really know how this character will evolve until you're like middle of the next season because that's generally how it happens.
yeah.
They'll have a look. They'll kind of play with some looks until they get one that they really love.
Hmm.
Um,
What do you think about the new Sonic? No longer really a screwdriver, more of just like a remote control kind of look.
what the new Doctor? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
he had like a little pad, like a little
Yeah.
remote kind of looking thing. It's not
Ah,
like an actual screwdriver like it used to be, and now it's like a remote control. Like because they're saying like people don't use screwdrivers as readily as they used to, so now it's more they use a remote for everything. It's like
uh,
console kind of phone situation.
why am I not? Oh, like a smartphone.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
like a blue like control pad.
I'm hoping to go back to the screwdriver. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know, it's a catch-all. I mean, it's not really a screwdriver. For some reason, why am I blanking on that?
I don't know.
Man, maybe I got the COVID. Um,
I don't know.
but anyway,
Or you're just you and you're forgetful about things.
yeah, I don't know. I don't
I don't
know.
think that's a COVID thing. I think it's just a Kazaska thing.
Well, you get fog-headed. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't
fog
know.
pad even.
I don't know how I feel about that, Mark. We'll have
Yeah,
to see it in action. I don't see anything wrong with keeping the screwdriver as is.
yeah.
I don't feel like it's out of date
You could
already.
look it up. I mean, pretty sure there's a picture of it on the interwebs.
Yeah. Let me
But
take a look. Give me your thoughts, Mark, why I do that. Give me your thoughts.
I like the idea of the bi-generation thing. If because since we have talked about that they're doing the thing where they're starting from episode one again and starting from season 0, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like the David Tennant doctor, that's the end of that doctor's story, and now we're going on to a new story with a different doctor, so to speak. So this doctor is more like has all that memory of what happened, but has come out the other side of the trauma of all the stuff that had happened. And
Right.
so now he's going off into his own thing with new adventures and new, you know. So I like the thing of you couldn't like I was going into it being like, how are they going to kill him again, so to speak? Not like the character dies, but like losing Tennant again, I think would have been too traumatic for people because like
Right.
people already went through it once. That going through it a second time of him like regenerating and the sad moment of him like leaving and that whole situation all over again, I think would be like, oh my gosh, why? So I thought it was
Yeah.
very smart the way they did it, and yeah, it was cool to see him, like you said, get his happy ending, so to speak, for that doctor that
Yeah.
went through. Like he's kind of like taking the happy ending of all the other doctors that came after him, like Matt Smith's doctor and Capaldi's doctor and Whitaker's doctor, and all the stuff that they went through and the traumas that they went through. Like, and they talked about it in the episode,
Yeah.
like losing Amy Pond, Clara, uh, what's her name there? I always forget, Martha, and
Yeah.
you know, all that. So I think it's, I thought it was very good. I thought they did a very good job of it. I thought MPH was good. I liked his character. Uh, I think that they did the nice job of making things a tad scary, but not but like Doctor Who scary, where it's that creepy, weird looking stuff. Like the guy is a puppet, and the creepy dolls that come out and talk and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they also like just do the hokey things that Doctor Who does.
Yeah. He was menacing up until the end.
Yeah,
Like,
well, like the scene where he was talking about the different uh companions,
yeah.
and like, oh well, that's fine. It's like she's trapped in her own consciousness. Well, that's okay then.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's okay for you,
Yeah.
their lives are over, but you're okay with it. So as long as you're fine, that's fine. So it's kind of like throwing it back on like Russell Davies himself, like throwing it back on himself for doing this to these characters. Like, oh, you killed these characters off, but as long as you're happy and you're okay with it, then we should be okay with it too, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, like you said, the trauma of what's going on. And they've mentioned it, Donna has said, I saw what's going on and
yeah,
you're not okay.
yeah,
So I think, yeah, wiping the slate clean, giving a doctor with no baggage, it's a good way to start. Um, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I agree. Also, we've seen, like you said, I'm not going to re-say it, but seeing Dave Tennant leave once before was dramatic enough. So I think this time was nice to see it the way it played out.
Mm.
So I looked at the image, um, and it looks, yeah, it's like this tiny little, like,
It
oh,
reminded me of the remote from Click.
yeah, and
Remember
it's,
that Adam Sandler movie, Click?
yes,
That the
yeah,
remote that speed up time and slow down time.
it's got little lights, it's
Yeah,
got a
it reminded me
circle
of
with
that
different
remote.
planets and solar systems.
Yeah,
And it says that it's got like a USB port, so it can
yeah,
integrate with other technology,
yeah,
and it's all powered by a purple crystal.
yeah.
So, yeah, I don't remember seeing if it was probably a
It
quick.
was very quick at the end, like right before he did the thing with the hammer to make the two tortoises.
Yeah,
He like had it out, and he was like going looking at it.
yeah. So this is the closest look. I just Googled it, and
Yeah,
there's actually a video out with him showing it, and it shows clips of the Christmas special,
yeah,
which we don't have much. I mean, it's going to be next Monday,
yeah,
this
yeah,
coming Monday. So,
yeah.
very
A week
excited
from
for it.
today.
Huh?
A week from today.
Yeah, yeah. So I have to say, man, it's great to get back into Doctor Who.
Mm,
I think it's been good. Very excited to see what happens next. So,
yeah,
where for me, I put this special as an 8. I know I put Doctor Special the special 1 as an 8. Special 2 was my favorite at a 9. This was an 8 as well. Um, the only reason I give it an 8, like it was kind of like I hate to see Dave Tennant go again,
Yeah.
but I know he has to.
Yeah.
We got the new Doctor. I wanted a little bit more of him, but I know that's coming. I think overall it was entertaining. It was a great episode. For me, like, them throwing handball wasn't my favorite thing, but it is what it is.
I mean, it is what it is. It's a device to get through. It's Doctor Who. You
Yeah,
gotta go with it being Doctor Who, and
I just wanted him, wanted like maybe like he was menacing and he was threatening, and it
yeah.
just kind of faltered. But that's okay.
Hmm.
So yeah, I give it an 8. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I'd give it. I'd probably give it right around there, like an 8, 8.5. It was just, it wasn't a full season, so it's hard to like, get really deep into it because there's just 3 shows.
Right. This is just
But
based
it
on the one
was,
special.
you know, but yeah, so it'll be fine. We'll get through it. But yeah,
Uh,
8.5.
okay.
It was a means to the end kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I get why. I feel like 2 was very strong. I really
Yeah.
like 2 a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, these usually would have been like one long movie kind of situation.
I get it. Yeah,
It's the
totally.
first time I think they've done like a small series kind of thing, like a mini series version.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
So
Usually it's one and
yeah,
done. But I kind of like this.
yeah,
I kind of feel like this. I think Jodie Whittaker did a great job. The one season I watched her, I think it was a little hard transition wise, um, with probably a lot of people. I just think, for me, the writing wasn't that great. The new writing team just didn't do it for me. But
yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah, that wasn't her fault. Her as the doctor was good. It was the
Right.
writing that didn't do much well.
But that transition got a lot of uh like backlash. So
Yeah,
I think them doing it this way is very smart of them.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to get into the negative Nancy's, but that's
No,
the world we live
no,
in. So,
no. And this is also the first doctor that gets like the like time to talk to their doctor and kind of experience that, like their first moments as the doctor. So it was very cool to see that kind of thing too. Like,
yeah. And I watched an old clip from the last anniversary. This is another anniversary year for Doctor Who.
yeah. Well,
But
the
when
50th was the one we went to in the movie theater.
yeah, and you had Matt Smith and Dave Tennant's Doctor picking
Yeah,
on each other. I loved
yeah, yeah,
they had that kind of back and forth.
yeah,
It was cool.
yeah,
I liked it.
yeah.
All right. So that's going to transition us
Yes.
to our top. Here are our top shows of 2023. This is the top tier. Do you want me to
Okay.
start from the bottom? We'll go from the top.
Go from the top. Start with the happy news, and then we'll do the sad news after that.
All right. For TV shows, Mark,
Yes.
our top tier shows of the year
Yes.
is The Last of Us.
And these are shows that we both watched.
Yes.
We'll
This is
throw that
everything
in because there's a bunch of shows that I watched that I would have thrown into my top, but Brian will get to them sometime next millennia. So
no, this is just Geekonomics podcast. These are just the shows me and you reviewed on our show.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Well, I mean, yeah, shows that we
Yeah.
both have seen this year.
Yeah. So our top shows of Geekonomics podcast:
Yes.
The Last of Us, Succession season 4, Loki season 2, Twisted Metal, and the Doctor Who special 2. Those were our top shows, our top tier. Mid tier. This is 8. This is 8.5, 8 below, between 5 and 8.
Gotcha.
Doctor Who special 3, Doctor Who special 1, Mando season 3, and Ahsoka. Then this
We're
is
not doing Doctor Who as a whole thing. We're doing it as individual episodes.
Well, that's how we rated them. So that's how I put them in.
Okay. I thought we did it by series, but that's okay.
Season, special.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's how we rated it.
All right. Okay. We'll change it next year.
Yeah. Our bottom shows and our
Can I guess?
Huh?
Can I guess? Because I don't remember most of them, but I know one of them is definitely Secret Invasion.
Yes, we have two shows that are in our bottom mixed tier. Secret Invasion, you gave a 3.
Yes.
I gave it a 5. But
Yeah.
on hindsight, I would give it a 3 because after seeing the Marvels, it
Yeah.
makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then it is completely forgettable. I
Yeah.
have wiped it from my memory.
Yeah.
So if I had to change any rating for me right now,
Yeah.
I would give it a 3 as well. I don't even know why I gave it a 5. I don't know
Because at
why.
the time you were hoping it was going to lead to something. Because you even put the caveat in it of if Marvel's like if it has any effect on the Marvels, then
Right. And it didn't.
it had no effect on anything. Not
Nothing.
even the Skrull planet that they went to, that they placed them on, did nothing.
It
Like
just got
nothing was mentioned
destroyed.
about it. Just got
Yeah.
destroyed, and the Skrulls are now off wandering again somewhere.
Who cares about the scrolls at this point?
Yeah, Skrulls are useless.
Um,
Which is weird because they're so important in the comic book that like you basically ruin that culture and that any stories you could do with them because no one wants to hear from them ever again.
no, I don't care about and then a show that started in 2022 but ended in the beginning of 2023 was Willow. Uh,
Oh
you, you
yeah,
gave so this is our mix. You gave it a 6. I gave it a 3.
it
Now
wasn't bad. It had potential.
I so Secret Invasion was wiped from my memory.
Yeah,
Willow was wiped from existence.
yeah. No, that yeah,
See
can't.
that delete button, it does
Yeah,
not exist.
yeah. It's not even. I don't think you can even see it on Disney Plus anymore.
No, they took it off.
Yeah,
It is gone.
yeah.
Um, so those were the two our bottom two shows of the year.
Mm.
Mixed, like I said, because you give it a little higher, I give it a little
Yeah,
lower.
yeah, yeah.
For movies fared better for us this year than TV. Movies were consistently either good or great.
Well, I think
Um,
we're more particular about what movies we go see. That's why.
I
TV
guess
shows they're readily available, so you can watch them whenever. So you kind of put yourself in the. I saw a lot of bad TV shows that I didn't talk about. Like we didn't talk about, but
yeah. Well, let's our top movies of the year, Mark. Our
yeah,
top movies of the year are Oppenheimer with straight tens, Barbie straight 10,
yeah,
uh, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We both gave it 9.5.
yes,
Godzilla -1. You gave it a 9.8. I gave it a 9.5.
yeah. I'm knocking up to a 10. Knock mine up to a 10. That I was just being the crotchety man and making that comment about the tail slide, but that's a 10. It's a 10. It's one of
All
the
right.
best movies I saw of the year.
Okay. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. You gave 9.5. I gave it a 9.
Yeah,
D&D. You gave it an 8.5. I gave it a 9.
yeah,
So those were our top movies of the year, and I think those are fantastic movies.
yes.
I don't. I look at that. I'm like that. This was a great year for cinema. Um,
Until you look at the other movies we saw.
well, believe it or not, the mid tier. We only have a mid tier. We don't have a bottom tier at
It
all.
wasn't because we were very particular. We didn't. There was none of the movies that we. I mean, we didn't go see the Blue Beetle or anything, so that's why.
I understand, but this is us. This is who we are. So mid tier, Ant Man, eights and sevens. The
Yeah,
Flash, 7s and 8s. IJ, Indiana Jones, 8s and 7s,
yeah,
and Marvel's 8s and 7s.
yeah,
So we just kind of bounced back and forth between 8 and a 7 for all
yeah.
those movies. They weren't horrible, but
None of
they
them were
weren't
terrible. They just
great.
weren't great. And
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. Is people just assume if it's not great, I'm not going to go make the effort to go see it. I'll wait till it's on streaming in 3 months.
Well, I don't blame them because it's expensive to go to the movies.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like I think that's the issue movies have. It's like you're only going to go see like an event movie in the theater. Like you're not going to see like Godzilla -1 probably doesn't have a huge box office.
Actually, it got expanded because it has done so well.
I know what I'm saying, but originally it wouldn't have had like a huge box office. I mean,
But
the
word
word
of
of mouth
mouth.
on it has gotten really great.
Yeah.
And I suggest anyone who has anything with Godzilla or any thoughts of liking Godzilla should see it. Even if you're not a Godzilla person, I think you could see this movie and still get a kick out of it.
Right.
It's really well done and really well written.
Yeah, totally.
You like a real cat behind you that's just laying there? I no, behind that.
What?
Or is that a stuffed thing?
We talking about this?
Behind that, yeah. Is that a
That's a
pillow?
pillow.
Okay, that was a really fat cat you had sitting there.
No, Scoops is right there.
I know I saw him wandering around, but
But yeah, I mean, great year for movies from
yeah,
what we saw and reviewed.
my chair is acting up. I'm gonna fix it. Keep going.
Mark's chair. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of other films in the theater that weren't so great. I saw a lot of TV shows that we didn't discuss on here that weren't so great and were really good.
Yeah.
Which a couple of them I'm going to mention in our top 6 favorite things.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of which, I have no shows or movies in my top 6 this year.
Wow, I
went
have
completely off book.
good. I'm glad. I have all encompassing things in mind.
Yeah.
So I really tried to cast
Some of my top things are your top things. So I didn't put them in mine because I knew one of them for sure you were going to talk about. So I figured why repeat it.
Okay.
So,
well, before we jump into this,
yeah.
do you know what was your least favorite show you watched this year that you didn't talk about?
That I didn't talk about?
Yeah. What was your least favorite show? Do you know? Do you have
I mean,
one?
that we didn't rate, you're saying. I've probably talked about it, but we didn't rate it.
We didn't rate it. I didn't watch it. It was a Mark thing. You watched it. You didn't like it or whatever.
This is, why I texted you yesterday about the question I asked you about when we started D&D is because my brain has started mushing years together. And I can't think of when things happen.
Yeah. Welcome to.
I really can't think of it right off the top of my head. Now that I think about it.
I have one. I have one show that was my least favorite show this year that I watched.
Yeah. I'll probably think since I wasn't thinking about it, I'll start thinking about it. But not.
All right. So Allison was like, I want to start watching a show without you. So I was like, all right, watch whatever you want. So she started watching Yellowstone. Then she's like, Brian, you should watch it with me because it's pretty good so far. So we started from the beginning, and I will admit the first season was okay. But by the time we got to season 4, is probably one of the worst written shows on television. I don't know how it's one of the highest rated shows on cable TV. It is completely bonkers. None of it's consistent. None of it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a shit show sometimes. There's a couple characters we kind of like, but probably one of the worst shows I've watched this year, other than Secret Invasion and Willow for me. But anyway, that's at Yellowstone is in my bottom 3. That's a show we didn't talk about on here. That's why I ask you. But if you can't remember, we can move on.
Yeah, so I can't think of the top of my head right now.
Okay. We shall enter our top 12 things of the year. We got 6 each. We're going to go back and forth. I'll let you go first, Mark, as I need a break with my voice.
Okay. My first one would have been more poignant had we not been doing the show this way today. Returning to doing the podcast in person was one of my top things.
Yeah, we did. We started that this year, huh?
Yeah. In March was our first one.
Wow.
After almost 3 years or 2 years at least of doing it shows this way.
2020, 2021, 2022.
Yeah, so almost 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing the show on Zoom or some form of thing that
I concur.
Yeah, I put the studio together to set up the new podcasting setup, and we have started doing that, and the plan was to start doing it more often. uh, work schedules and Brian odd illnesses
Well,
derailed that. But hopefully next year we'll be doing more
yeah, in the studio.
person shows.
Well, I think it's great to have this as an option because
Yeah.
if we couldn't do Zoom, we just wouldn't be doing a show this week.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree, Mark. I mean, you set it up nicely. I think the studio looks great. I love it. It is really a different beast when we're in the studio together.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully, it would be nice to do some different things. Maybe incorporate guests. Maybe stuff of that nature. Think of different ideas for the
Yeah.
podcast. But yeah, I think it's a whole new beginning for the show.
Yeah. That
Totally.
was one of mine.
All right, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks. What's your One is one of your six top things? These are no particular order, by the way, either. I don't want
yeah,
anyone to think like this is my sixth favorite thing that happened this year.
there's no order.
There's no order.
Um, for
Just like
me,
a Snyder cut. There is no order.
there's no order. I was really excited to see Rebel Moon, but after the reviews, whew, I will ignore that movie.
I mean, it would be my like worst thing of the year, even though it hasn't come out yet. But I
No,
can sense it's going to be the worst thing I've seen this year.
the reviews have been horrible. So
Yeah.
it killed all my excitement. Um,
Yeah.
for me, one of my favorite bands, putting out a new album, going on a reunion tour. Blink-182, both happened this year. So I encompass this as one of them because I got new music. You, my brother, and me, we had a fun trip to New York.
Or you, your brother, and I.
Okay, grammar Nazi.
I'm saying, well, don't say that. That's like the most annoying thing. I have an uncle who was an English teacher. Okay, I used to get yelled at for saying stuff like that.
All right, all right. Jeez Louise, okay. So anyway, the three of us, we had
Yes.
a wonderful trip,
Yes.
to and fro. It was a great show. It was one of my favorite concerts of the year, and I've been to a couple. Um, yeah, so seeing Blink back, the new album, which I absolutely adore. They put out a great interview as well, that kind of aired out all the grievances about what they went through to get to where they are.
Yeah.
So I think it's been a great year for them. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. We're going to see them again in
Yes.
2024.
Yeah.
They're coming to Hartford.
Yes. And I offered to drive to that one.
Yeah, you're going to drive. So that's exciting. Um, so yeah, that's definitely one of my top things of the year. Also, I rented the car, which was fun, and
Yeah.
it sucked because it poured all morning.
Yeah.
But luckily, we drove away from the rain because I think it
Yes.
got a little bit better as we went along.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that is one of my top memories of the year.
Yeah. That was a good time. It was a blast.
Yeah.
I didn't put on mine because I knew you were going to put on yours.
Okay.
My other next thing that top thing of the year, on my birthday, my awesome wife gave me two of the best tech gifts I've ever gotten.
Oh.
She gave me the Bird Buddy, which if you follow me on Facebook, you know I post or was posting a lot of bird pictures, which were from the Bird Buddy, which is a bird feeder that has a camera that wirelessly attaches to your phone. And anytime a bird lands on the bird feeder, it takes a picture of it, send it to you with video. It has, I know Allison will probably get aggravated with me once I say this. It has furthered my dislike of squirrels because
Wow.
they attack the bird buddy every time I fill it,
Yep. Yeah.
and they keep my birds away from my bird buddy. So I have to sit there, and every time, and this is my only thing I dislike about squirrels. They're like photo in like they like know exactly where the camera is,
Yeah.
and they put their butt right in front of the camera.
Yes. Yes. We know it too.
Anytime I get sent a picture from my phone when there's a squirrel, it's just squirrel butt.
Yep. Yep.
So that's my thing about squirrels is if you're gonna jump on the thing, at least look at the screen. So that way it's at least a usable video or picture instead of just like your hindquarters every time.
Or they're nuts.
No, they're always just sitting in the bird feeder and just
Yeah.
eating and gorging themselves in all the sunflower seeds.
Yeah.
And then they bring their friends around and then they knock the sunflower seeds out of the bird feeder onto the ground and then their
Onto the
friends
ground.
knock it on the
Yes.
ground. Yeah. So then it's like a whole thing.
Par for the course.
But then also with that, she gave me this other uh techie cool thing called the tidbit. And I don't know if I probably talked about this on my after my birthday when I got it. The tidbit is this little box. It's about yay big. It hooks up to your phone as well.
Yeah.
And it basically you can put a bunch of random things on it and it'll scroll through like a community calendar kind of thing. So like I have like basically every sports score for every sporting event going on in the world rotates on this thing. And
Huh.
also there's like weather. It can do like your like YouTube feed. Like at one point I had like uh our YouTube account on it for the channel because I was when I was first got it trying it out
Yeah.
for the podcast. So it'd show like how many views your newest video has gotten and stuff like that. So it's got tons of things. It is the coolest thing in the world.
Huh.
And it has like all these different things on it. You could put like music, like what like your music things playing, what like movies are coming out. You can have all these things on it. You can go down a rabbit hole.
That's pretty cool.
And it's got all these like cool little like animations on it and everything. It's all 8-bit looking, so it looks really neat and cool. So uh those are the two gifts she gave me for my birthday, and they're probably the coolest, techiest gifts I've ever gotten. And I like still am like addicted to messing around with them and seeing what other random things. And the tidbit thing is really cool because it's all like the company makes like little apps for it, but there's also like a huge creator space as well,
Hmm.
like independent creators that make different apps for it. So you can load their things onto it. There's all these different things and it shows you like bird sightings from around the area and different random crazy things. So there's tons of stuff. You can really go down a rabbit hole with it. But yeah, getting the tidbit and the bird buddy for my birthday.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like the bird. The tidbit sounds pretty interesting. I might have to check one out for myself.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. It's a neat little like gadget to have because it's got a bunch of cool stuff on it. You can really, yeah. Like I found myself knowing weight, and even Claire's like, wow, I've learned more about sports since you've gotten this thing. And I'm actually like interested in what's going on with sports events that I would never really care about.
Mark, like in sports? No
Yeah.
way.
No, but even she's like, oh, now I'm like, I know like I have like all the NBA scores on it, and then during baseball seasons, all the baseball scores, and like college, it's got all the football scores and basketball scores and hockey scores and all these different things.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Okay.
All right.
Um,
Your next thing, Brian.
my next thing, for this is a couples thing. We're gonna stay in that kind of couples thing.
Mhm.
Allison and myself. I in the beginning of the year, I started watching Buffy. And I got Allison hooked. So we ended up watching all the Josh Whedon shows this year, which was awesome. We watched Buffy, Angel, Dollhouse, Firefly, Serenity. And I I have never experienced that the moment Buffy ended, I turned to Allison and I said, I cannot wait until 10 years from now when we get to rewatch this. Never said that about anything. I absolutely adore Buffy, Angel. Um, I, I don't know. It was a great experience. I got Allison into them. She really enjoyed Buffy and Angel. She actually we liked Dollhouse a lot. She got into Firefly, Serenity. We both, I got to rewatch Firefly with her, so that was fun. Um, so yeah, watching all the Josh Whedon shows this year was awesome. Getting to watch a show that I've never got into before, it was really cool. So yeah, it was great. You know, since then we watched shows here and there, but we haven't got into anything like that where we were watching 4 or 5 episodes a day. Like we
Hmm.
just in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of my favorite moments of the year, getting to watch all those.
Mm, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, my next one kind of correlates in that same vein, not exactly the same vein, but it is a couple associated thing. The main event of it happened at the very end of last year, right around this time of year last year. Uh, but the end result happened this at the beginning of this year. Claire, my wife, being mobile again after breaking her leg at the end of last year.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that was last year, huh?
yeah, yeah, it was last Christmas.
Wow.
So she is banned from going in the garage during Christmas baking season. Um, but I don't want to go through that again. But just seeing her go from that state to having the surgery on Christmas Eve and getting released on Christmas Day, and then going through all the rehab and everything that she went through, and going through that whole experience with her of taking her to the doctor's appointments, going to rehab every time, sitting in the rehab waiting room with waiting for her, which actually got me to read, uh, which correlates to this, the book I read, uh, the Stephen King book that I read. It was probably the first actual book I had read from cover to cover in a long time. Uh, but yeah, just her being able to get back to working and driving, and me not having to like wait on her hand and foot, which I didn't mind. But it's just great to see that, she's back to normal basically at this point,
Right. Right.
and is
Yeah,
able
that
to
was
do
good.
things again, and not having to worry about all this stuff that was going on and everything. So
You guys have a nice relaxing holiday coming up.
that's the plan, is that we're not going to do anything too crazy. Like,
Right.
her baking is being curtailed this year, even though she keeps coming up with recipes and finding recipes of cookies that she wants to make. Like, you can make all the cookies you want, but you're not going to the garage to get anything. So
That's what you're there for, Mark.
yeah, yeah. So
Well,
yeah, another top thing for me is just her getting back on her feet. So
it's good. It's
yeah,
good to have everybody healthy this year. Yeah,
yes, yeah,
totally,
yeah.
totally.
I mean, besides you being sick, but everything else.
Right. Um, I got a cold.
Yeah,
Whatever. I'm
yeah,
going.
yeah.
For me, my third thing for me this year, um, was the adaptation of one of my favorite games, favorite stories and games is The Last of Us coming to HBO. I was very nervous, honestly. Like I didn't know
Mm,
where this was going to go. Also, it's hard. As a gamer, I get attached to a lot of the stories. I play with a lot of great games, and then when you see it come to the small screen or the big screen, sometimes you get nervous because you're like, is this going to be received well? Is it going to be good? Am I going to like it? What's going to
yeah,
happen? But I kind of knew we were in good hands with Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. Then Craig Maiden came in from Chernobyl, which was
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
One of a fantastic miniseries on HBO. So I kind of felt like we're in good hands, and I think they put one of the best shows out this year, in my opinion. Um,
Probably one
so
of the best episodes of all time that we've seen on television.
yes,
The Nick
which was
Offerman episode.
yes, the Nick Offerman episode was fantastic. Like
Yeah,
I still think, I mean, there was a lot of online videos of people watching that episode.
yeah,
And I like a lot of TV this year, the ratings for The Last of Us just grew,
yeah,
and that's what you want. You want it
yeah,
to start kind of low and just get higher in anticipation, and people start
yeah,
tuning in.
yeah.
Um,
Catching up and all that too.
and that's something that didn't happen a lot this year with a lot of shows, but
Mm,
HBO is top tier television still. So yeah, for me, it was a win. I put a great podcast out with a couple of my friends who were really into the games and the show, and
mm.
but yeah, it meant a lot. That it was great, and I'm excited for season two. but I mean, it was one of my favorite shows of the year. Um, so I'm just thankful it turned out well, and let's hope that season two is just as good. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it was a great show. It was one of the best shows of the year, as we talked about earlier.
yeah,
So no need to go deep into that. Kind of going off my last thing. Because of Claire's injury, we didn't do our big vacation we were going to do this year of going to Disney again.
yeah,
So since we didn't do that, I kind of decided that since Claire had gone through what she went through and everything, she needed like a nice, quiet vacation. Nothing really crazy. It was a little crazy, but not like a lot of roaming around doing things. So I found this resort up in Maine, which was a place that my family would go every year growing up. And Claire had never been to that area of Maine. So I wanted to kind of show her that. It was a very important town to me growing up that we were near. So we went up to Lincolnville to a resort up there, the Inn on Ocean's Edge, and spent like 3 days, I think, total we
nice.
spent there. It felt like longer than that because it was so awesome. But it was just nice. It was like all inclusive kind of thing. They had like breakfast every morning right at the main house overlooking the ocean, and it had like a little like pool, salt water pool area that Claire lived at for 2 days straight, basically. And the weather was perfect. And, again, I just like sat and just did nothing for like 3 days, which is very rare. But it was
Yeah,
just kind of a cool, nice little like mission accomplished thing with her getting back after the broken leg and being able to do things again. So it was a nice little thing. It was probably one of the best vacations we've had as a couple to like just do without any other people going around with us. We've
yeah,
done other vacations like that, but it was the first one that I think we did, just the two of us. That was like it was much needed. And yeah, so our plan is next year to hit the Disney on our 5 year anniversary.
wow, 5 years already.
Yeah,
Holy
coming up on
smokes.
5 years in May.
Woo,
Yeah, so yeah, our vacation to Maine.
exciting. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Sounds like a good time, my friend.
it was.
So moving right along, my wow, we're going to this is the fourth one.
Yeah,
Um, for me, I'm a big movie goer. I go to a lot of movies. I think this
you
year
do.
was a great year for films. Um, I think what we experienced the weekend of July 21st with Barbenheimer is something we have never seen before, and I will be surprised if we never see it again in our lifetime. But the
Yeah,
fact that two movies that are extremely opposite got together because one of them was not going to move. It came out. Margot Robbie was talking about how the people at Oppenheimer called them up and asked them to move, and they said, "Well, if you're so nervous about us, you move." So they decided nobody was moving, and
yeah,
they played into it. They played into the memes and all that stuff. You had people like Tom Cruise even going to both movies. He's a very I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan, but I will say one good thing about him: he's a champion of the theater, and I love that because I'm a big theater lover. Um, so going to see Oppenheimer with us that wasn't a
yes,
superhero movie was very awesome. Uh,
yeah,
it was a packed house. Then the very next day, I go with Mike to see Barbie at like
yeah,
2 in the afternoon, packed,
yeah,
packed. Usually I go 2 in the afternoon on a Friday, you get like 20, 10 people.
yeah,
Uh, packed both showings, which was simply unheard of.
yeah,
Uh, so I think Barbenheimer is just something that 2023 will be remembered. I'm
yes.
glad to go see both. I enjoyed both immensely. I
Mm.
enjoyed the experience. Um, and I think, yeah, I think it was a great time for cinema, a great time for the movies.
It was a great year for cinema, really. I mean, there were some stinkers, but I mean, not like many, I think. I mean, in our opinion, I mean, in general opinion, there were
Yeah,
probably a lot more, but Like the Barbenheimer thing, like you were saying, seeing Oppenheimer, I kind of went into it knowing the story. I'm a World War II guy, so it was kind of like I'm into that era of stuff, so I kind of had an idea all the story behind some of it, but uh the movie was just fantastic. It's definitely a movie that if you haven't seen it yet, I don't know, you're probably one of the three people left in the world that haven't seen it. You definitely should check it out, as well as Barbie, which I saw with Claire. It was like the first movie she saw after her broken leg. Like first, like I think at first time we actually went out and did something. Like it was like a week later after it came out originally, and the theater was still packed.
Yeah.
It was still full, and I think it was the only movie. I think the only movie she went to this year basically was Barbie, and afterwards she was like, "That was crazy." She's like, "That was one of the best movies I've seen."
Yeah.
And I went into it not expecting anything because it's a movie about Barbie. Like I was like, all right. I know I was like, you guys said you were going to go see it. I'm like, all right, whatever. But like even I was like, wow.
I was moved.
Like,
Moved
yeah,
by it a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in it that triggered a lot of things. Uh, but yeah, so
Yeah.
it was really well done. It was really awesome. And yeah, it was a great flick. It
Yeah.
was definitely like another movie where it's only probably like two or three people who haven't seen it. But you should definitely check that out. It's on the Max now.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that
Um,
today.
I mean, I think Barbie was the biggest grossing movie of the year.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
could understand.
But all right, Marcus, what do you
All
got?
right, my fifth thing. We're going through these pretty quick today. I kind of like
Yeah,
it.
it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Something I never expected to be able to do. Uh, I got to do this year. I went on my first work offsite. This isn't the top thing. Uh, the work offsite, not one of my top things of the year. The experience was one of the top things.
Yeah.
During that offsite, one of the guys who works in Virginia, who does the government affairs for Virginia D.C. area, his wife actually works at the White House, so she was nice enough to offer up the opportunity for folks to take tours of the White House with her,
Very cool.
and I got to go on one of these tours. And to say, uh, I'm a huge fan of the show West Wing, is an understatement. Probably one of my favorite shows. One of the shows, uh, as you are to the Buffy show, I was to the West Wing show. It wasn't a show I watched when it first came out all the way through. I kind of got into it later on, and I have watched it multiple times over multiple years. Usually, roughly around every presidential season, I'll watch the show through. So every 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
I'll watch it through. But yeah, it's crazy to watch that show, and you see those shows and you think like, oh, it's probably not like doesn't look like that in real life, like you see these shows and you like, oh, that's probably not how. But literally, you could go to the White House, and if you ever get to do the tour of the White House, it basically is like a set location tour because you're like, oh, I remember when they did that scene there and that scene from over there, and it's an actual place, and it's actually like real things are happening there too. And it's crazy to think like you to stand outside the doorway of the Oval Office and look inside it and see things that you've seen. Like we've all seen news conference, like press conferences from that, or speeches from the president in front of that
Right.
window,
Yeah.
and to be like, wow, that's like where so and so sat when he talked about that, or
That's
and
pretty
all
cool.
basically has the same setup. I mean, the desks have changed and the chairs have changed and the different things have changed, but to see the different things and to see like the hallways and to walk into the press room and be able to stand there and just to be in the building, it's it's crazy. It's an experience I think every person should do or be able to go through and see at least once, because I think it brings a whole new perspective to things on
Mm.
what the White House is and the presidency, and just America, basically. I know it's really weird to say it like that, but it is. It's crazy. It's like it's really, I don't want to say life changing, but it's like a life altering moment. It's like you kind of like get a different perspective on things when you see that.
Yeah.
Even just DC as a whole, like being there. Like after that, I got to go we did it before we flew out on the last day. We did the walk of the mall and went to the Lincoln Memorial. And we've seen the Lincoln Memorial in all the different movies and things and stuff like that. But to actually like be there and see the statue and walk the mall and go to the World War II Memorial and go to the Korean War Memorial and see these things, it like really like perked my interest again of wanting to actually go and spend time there and go to the different places and see the different things,
Yeah.
and that it's all free and you can just go around and do all these things, you know. So, but yeah, the White House tour alone was just crazy. The fact that like I got to walk around the White House, the same hallways like a presidents have walked around, and
That's pretty cool.
all these people walked around. It's crazy to think about, but yeah. So yeah, that was one of my top things, was getting a tour of the White House.
Yeah. I mean, it's something I definitely want to do. And a show that's on my list is The West Wing. It's a show I definitely want to watch eventually. Um, but yeah, I love the photo of you at the in the press conference there, Mark.
Yeah, yeah. So my profile picture.
Yeah,
Until I
that is
find something else to replace it, it'll be there. So
nice.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
All right, moving along. For me, um, I know, keeping with the theme of TV, going back to TV now.
Hmm.
The Last of Us. We talk about Succession in our list, but a show that you watched before me and I got into it a little bit later on this year was The Bear.
Yes.
I think The Bear with The Last of Us and Succession the last season, were
Hmm.
probably top tier television of the year.
Yeah.
The Bear season 1 and 2 were unbelievably chef's kiss.
Yes.
Um, and the reason I loved it so much is because I worked in the restaurant business for 10 years of my life. And wow, they nailed some of those moments
Yeah.
that I could relate to. Um, Especially the episode where everything goes wrong in season
Yeah.
one. Then in season two, you have a wonderfully acted and filmed and casted Christmas
Yeah.
episode
Yeah.
with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
And then
Bob Odenkirk.
the final episode, which
Hmm.
they uh the way it's filmed and shot, the soundtrack, the
Yeah.
way things were done was just unbelievable. I don't want to spoil it too much.
Yeah.
But it's one of those shows, they already season 3 is happening.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm excited for that.
Filming starts, I think, next month.
What, filming?
Yeah. For
Yeah.
season 3.
So I'm excited to see where this goes. I think the acting was unbelievable. I think shows like this, I'm glad FX exists, because I
Hmm.
think FX has a lot of fantastic shows. And The Bear is an amazing television. So don't sleep on it,
Yeah.
but it was definitely a show that was just like, holy crap,
Yeah.
this
No,
is
it's one of those
awesome.
shows like I got into, and then like I mentioned it to you, but uh the reason why I started watching it was because Claire got interested in it, seeing the ads for it. So we started watching it, and then uh watching it with her, it was very interesting as she went to culinary school to see her reaction to a lot of things. And she like, and I would ask her, and she'd be like, yes, that's what it's like when these things happen. And like when the people this year went to culinary school, basically, and the things that they were going through. And she was like, yeah, that's the stuff that we had to do, and that's the stuff that people have to do. And like the guy who does the pastry stuff on the show, and she's like, yeah, that's all the like, and all the different things. It was like, it's crazy to see how realistically they done things and how like religious they are about making it real. and integrating it into their big story. And it's such a well done show, and it's fantastic. And I like can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So The Bear lands on my top 6.
Yeah. It didn't make our ratings thing because Brian watched it way after I watched it. So that's why we didn't rate it. So
yeah.
maybe we're wondering why we didn't have it on there. So
all right, Marcus, what is your last thing of the
my
year?
last top thing of the year would probably not surprise you. In March of this year, kind of starting the end of last year, I started toying with an idea. And we reopened the studio beginning of 2022. And I was trying to think of ways to kind of bring the channel back up and running again, the studio part of it, and getting people interested in coming back into the studio. And I was promoting it and doing like open house and getting people to come in. And from doing all that and getting these new people to start new shows, I started to get the bug of wanting to start doing a studio show again. Stories of Victory Lane is kind of sunset with Matt Buckler's health issues.
Yeah,
not being able to come into the studio. So I was like, God, I have an idea. And I've kind of threw the idea around a little bit in my head, and then finally, reached out to you and Mike Haynes. And it was kind of like, hey, I'm kind of thinking about doing this. What do you think? You were like, if I'm free, I can help you, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be free because you're Brian and you're never sure what's going on in your day. So
with work, I work second shift a lot, Mark. Sorry.
I know. So talked to Mike Haynes about it because he was a big part of when this thing originally happened. And he was like, I'm all into it. I'm willing to be the guest on the first episode to get the ball rolling, because it was kind of going to be one thing at that time. And it kind of morphed into something else after we kind of talked about it some more. And then just this past week, we filmed the 8th episode of the show.
Yeah.
And it was very surreal to film that episode.
Right.
And to be there and see what was going on and to have all the people there and everything. It was kind of like one of those moments. Like I said it to Josh as we were driving. I was driving him home that night. I was like, that's one of those things that happens at the end of your like a person's movie. And it kind of weirds me out now because I'm kind of like, does that mean like this is all ending? Like what's going on here? Especially with everything that happened last year and all that. It's just kind of it was a very weird, surreal moment to kind of like full circle everything. And it's kind of like, it was weird to like, as I was talking to Mike on set when I was giving him the cup, it kind of like hit me. It was kind of like I felt like I had like gone through everything. But yeah, so it's the return of Equilibrium TV.
Yes.
To me, that was a thing that we started after the radio show ended and before we started doing this.
Yeah.
And it was a weird idea that we threw out way back when about filming bands out at venues, and we never thought it would do anything. We were just like an excuse for us to film Mike Haynes' band and go to his concerts and not have to pay to get in.
Well, also, Mark, you're forgetting it was an excuse to meet bands we liked.
Yes, that was where it kind of morphed into that, where we were like, hey, what bands can we get to come on this show?
We met Bowling for Soup, Shining
Bowling for Soup, Foghat.
Black Light Burn.
We never actually aired the Foghat one.
That was near the end. That was near the end of the show for us.
Reverend Horton Heat, which I wasn't a part of, but you went. I think Josh Eason did that show.
Yeah, we actually. We had so many people.
We started having satellite people doing shows for us because time wise we didn't have time to do things. West Borland's side project there.
Blacklight Burns. Now, do you know
Social Club from Maine?
I was going to say, Mark, do you know the first band was Paranoid Social Club by default, not
Yeah.
because it was part of because we went to CBGB's and just filmed GB&E in the next extension.
Yes.
That was the extent of it, and we were going to make
Yeah.
a movie,
Yeah.
and we did,
Yeah.
and that became ETV. Our first two
Yeah.
episodes were those two bands,
Yes.
but before that, the Weather Girl Delete
Delete.
had to
Pete
go
Imsweiler had
do a
a school
project.
project.
Yeah, so
I
we went
remember.
out
Yeah.
to that bar in Hartford, and
Sully's Pub.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Paranoid Social Club were playing,
Yeah.
and we filmed that, and that was kind of like the
Yeah.
first time.
We filmed that on VHS tapes.
VHSC, I have them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have the originals here.
Yeah.
And yeah, the quality's horrible.
Of course it is. Yeah, because of VHSC.
But
yeah.
we did that. Then that May, we took out the equipment from Cox. We went out. We made the movie. We actually
Yeah.
got to go to Sully's Pub, which is crazy. Apparently, the social club was at Sully's Pub, and
Yeah.
then Mike's home base, GB&E's home base was Sully's Pub, which was kind
Yes.
of funny.
Yeah. The movie release party there.
Yeah, and then they performed. We did Feeney.
Feeney performed there. We performed
Next
Feeney in
extension.
someone's basement.
Yeah.
Josh Morgan's basement. We Shiny Toy Guns we had on twice with two different singers.
Yeah, the female singer. She
Yeah.
original left. They had a replacement. Then she
Yeah.
came back.
Yeah.
Bowling for Soup, which was amazing to meet them.
Crazy. Yeah. Crazy.
Let's see, Blacklight Burns, Wes Borland, Mike interviewed them. Of course, the band Ryan Mead interviewed them.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that never got edited, and I have all the footage, is
Grunge Fest.
Grunge Fest, which was just a shit.
Randomly, side note, which I meant to tell you, but I just totally forgot about it until just now. Josh Friend is the audio. His company was the audio for people for the Enfield community chorus.
Yes, he has his own little his own business.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of weird because the girl's like, "Hey, do you know this? You know Josh Friend?" I'm like, if it's this Josh Friend, then yes, I do. Which I'm
Josh Enemy.
Many Josh Friends out there.
Yeah.
But I know Josh Enemy, and it was kind of funny. So it's like I never actually got to talk to him about it, like talk to him in person, but I met with the person that ended up being the audio guy. So it was kind of crazy. It was like another full circle moment. I was like, wow, this is strange.
Yeah, we did Negative Creep when they did the Nirvana Unplugged tribute concert.
And we filmed at places all over the area, which half of them aren't even around anymore.
Yeah.
But back to the show that is now, we've done 8 episodes. There's some big things happening with it, which I never thought would ever happen. We have bands booked, and bands are reaching out constantly, and it's just crazy to bring that show back after all those years of it not happening.
Yeah.
And make it now into a studio show. And it's kind of taking off, and I wasn't expecting it to take off, but
yeah, I like the studio. I love being part of it, Mark. I'm glad you brought it back. You had the great idea. This year, 2024, I would love to do an interview, be the interviewer in one episode. At least
I'd love not to interview. So great.
All right. I'm just throwing it out there. I would love to do it. I'd love to do it.
I hate doing it, so please do.
All right.
I called Mike Haynes because I'm like, hey, you don't mind look like an idiot on television.
I would love to be the host again. And still do camera. Then that way I could just go right back to camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a ball, Mark. I knew you were gonna put this on your list. Obviously I knew you were gonna talk about this, but like you said, this past Wednesday was a blast from the past. I don't want to spoil anything because the episode hasn't come out.
It hasn't even aired. It's not going to air till next month.
Right.
But just the bands that we've had on, Forevermore, which is Mike's side project, one of his 9,000 bands he has. Audio Jane was great. Somewhat Woke was fantastic. Egg was great. Having Dan Cahill on with his band Wolves was fantastic. The Sparkle and Fade was great. Having Chris Giard's band Diminishing Jim on, which kind of was a nice lead into what this last episode was, because they were another one of our original
20
uh
Rock Countdown.
20 Rock Countdown bands, back with another iteration of their band with
Yeah.
Willie, different member who unfortunately passed away years ago with Three Eyed Fish. So yeah, it's been really cool to kind of like reconnect with a lot of those people,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
old from when we used to do the show, and see where they are now with different bands and different things. And yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in the works. That's all I'm
Yeah.
gonna say. Um, and some stuff I haven't even told you. So that I'm working on in the background that I'm trying to get going. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. All right.
2024 is going to be very interesting, I think, for Equilibrium TV.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
All right. So on, was that your last one?
that's my last one.
All right. On to my last one, which, it's weird. I have this little guy.
Yes,
It's a little anymore. He's
not
big.
so little anymore.
Um, and
Oops.
I had a moment that I written down, but I don't know why. He's been sleeping on me this entire time and snuggling up with me.
It's
And
cold
I
out
think
and you're not feeling
it's
well.
to change what I have here because we had we had a cat named Buddy, who was my grandma's cat,
Yes,
who passed away in the very beginning of the year.
yes.
He I was driving to the vet, and I'm not lying when I say this, every single day
Mm.
so he can get shots. He had his teeth pulled because he was in so much pain, and we thought he had rotting teeth.
Yeah,
He had a lot more going on with cancer and whatnot.
yeah.
Um, and so we had to put him down.
Mm.
It was just the quality of life was diminishing. I did for like almost 2 months. It was just nonstop vet appointments. Um, so we Allison for my birthday, Allison found a cat, a little
Mm.
kitten in New York. Um, about hour and a half drive, and we got little Scoops,
Yeah.
who is not so little anymore. He's massive.
Scooby Poops.
So we get this guy, and he brought joy to our faces. It was great. We
Yeah,
loved having a kitten. He was only three, not even a couple months old. He was super small, but
yeah.
he took charge of the house. So then for Allison's birthday, Allison goes on the pet finder, and she
Mm.
sees the same litter because there was a big litter. He was the
Yeah.
only boy. It was all girls. There was the runt of the litter.
Mm.
She was still available, and this is we're in August now, and we got
Yeah.
this in June. So I turned to Alice and I said, "Do you should we go for it? Get a sister for her birthday?" She's like, "Why not?" So she reached out.
Why not?
They said the woman's like, "I would love to have you adopt her.
Yeah.
I would love it." So drove down. We got Ollie. She is
Mm.
still tiny.
Yeah.
She's still compact.
Mm.
They hit it off in a matter of a couple of days. The gate was down. The three of them, they're loving life. They have someone to play with. Um, and like having three cats, young cats that all get to play with each other. They're not driving each other crazy because Buddy was old
Yeah.
and Fidget, who's young, it was not good.
Yeah.
I highly recommend never have an old cat and get a young cat because it's going to annoy the shit out of the old cat,
Yes.
especially when they get sick. So
Yeah.
having three cats, they're only a couple years. Fidget's three. These guys are not even a year.
Yeah.
It's been great. So it's brought a lot of joy to Allison and me after having to put down Buddy in the beginning of the year and dealing with all that uh,
Trying to get my annoying cat to show up.
health problems. So
The
it's
Amazon guy
funny.
came at the door, so she won't come by.
All right. Well, it's funny because I wrote down something, but Scoops is here
Yeah.
reminding me. this was probably one of the best things of the year
Yeah.
was getting these two guys.
She's like, Papa,
Um,
me, you stupid. It's me, you idiot.
so I I'm not even going to tell you what my last one was because these
Yeah.
two guys was it, baby.
Yeah.
They really have made life really fun and interesting. And we're a couple. We're not going to have kids. We're just
Yeah.
going to have cats.
Same.
So
Yeah. Yeah. We always toy with the idea of getting a second one. But then I feel like Mimi is such a diva that she would probably dislike any other cat. So
it's a when it works, it's beautiful. But it's very stressful
yeah.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's hard, and you have to get them around the same age.
Yeah.
Um, it worked
And
out because they were
yeah.
from the same litter.
Yeah.
And
She was fostered at a place that had 40 cats and they all lived in the same place together. So I think now she's like, freedom.
right, totally.
And like the neighborhood has strays that wander the neighborhood because we have a lot of industrial area around us. So there's a lot of stray cats that wander. And any of them that come by the window, she's not a fan of. So I feel like she's a lone wolf kind of cat. So she's still very skittish too. Like I said, the Amazon person just came ringing the doorbell and she's now hiding under
Yeah,
the
I mean, these guys, if someone comes up to the door, they're like, "What,
yeah.
what's going on?"
Anytime anyone even walks near our front of the house, she runs upstairs and hides. So not a very good guard cat for sure. But
Yeah,
yeah, no. We've talked about this multiple times. I used to be a dog person. I was all about dogs. I had dogs growing up.
yeah,
My family still has dogs. My sisters have two dogs and a cat. Um, and dogs are great. Uh, Having a cat's a whole different vibe. I hate to say like less maintenance because it really isn't because you have to clean their own poop for them. But the fact you don't have to like take them for walks or go outside and snow blow the backyard so they have spaces to do their business and
yes,
all that. And yeah, and especially now that Claire's not smoking anymore, so she doesn't go outside either. Like our deck has been unused since like last year because we just don't go outside because there's no reason to. So
right. I agree.
yeah. So yeah, I totally understand. I know like no matter cat, dog, parrot, parakeet, any pet, losing a pet is like the worst
Yeah,
thing. And then finding a different pet to take that spot, it's a very odd feeling to go through.
it
And
is.
I know it's not easy. And I know that the attachment you had with Buddy was more than just a cat, so
Yeah,
that
it
makes
was
it
my
different.
grandma's cat,
Yeah,
so it was kind of
exactly.
like
So
that last bit of her.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but it was an old cat. It before my grandma, another old lady owned it. Then my grandma took it, and then
and then an
I
old
took
man took it. So there you
yeah, then
go.
an old man took it. Um, I think with Buddy, he became so affectionate because he was in a lot of pain, so he
Yeah,
was always sleeping on my lap, always,
yeah,
always, always. And he we grew closer, but I was doing oral medicine
yeah,
twice a day with him.
yeah,
I was bringing him to the vet every morning. He went through a lot of surgeries.
yeah,
I mean, I didn't even go to D&D
yeah,
one time because I was just like, this could be it.
yeah.
And I didn't want to miss out on being with him.
No, exactly. And like, and I don't know how the difference you have now because I know your guys' scenario changed where we were both working from home for a long period of time,
Yeah.
and now Allison's working from home. The dynamic between I know for on our side of things here, between me and the cat are way more connected than Claire and the cat are.
Right.
She does
Totally.
not like that fact because she wanted the cat for herself.
Yeah.
Uh, but I was home all the time, so the cat like bonded with me.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if that's the same dynamic you guys have over there, and it's any different now with the new cat.
Well,
Is more connected to Allison because she's home all the time now, and you're not.
yeah, Scoops is very bonded with Allison because when
Yeah,
we got him,
yeah,
she was working at home, they were always together.
Yeah.
Ollie has bonded with me a little bit more. Um, so like Ollie will sleep in my lap more. Ollie's
Yeah.
really near me a lot. Scoops just happens to be down here. But if I'm not home, Scoops is with Allison.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, now that I'm back at work, I mean, Allison, I'm happy because when I was here and she was
Yeah.
at work, I was
Same.
bonding with
Yeah.
Fidget.
They started
Fidget,
going back to the studio. The cats now, Mimi now, like Claire like tells me all the time. She's like, I'm so excited. She's sleeping on my lap. And if Claire's like when she's not feeling good, like she hasn't this past weekend, the cat like hangs out with her and like, sits on her lap, lets her
yeah,
pet her, and it's like an event when that happens. So
totally agree.
yeah. So
Totally agree.
yeah, so those are our top things of the year.
Yes, man, it
We've
was.
gotten older because we used to talk about like TV shows and things like our top things of the year. We did, you did,
I did.
but I didn't. I decided to because I knew a lot of things that you were going to talk about were things I would talk about too. So
Right.
I tried to
I
mix it up a
like
little.
yeah, I like talking about more than just TV and movies. And I think when it comes to the show, it's great to just talk about everything that's happened to you.
Yeah.
Anything, it's a catch-all. Catch-all.
And as
Whatever.
I tell people, they're like, oh, when they're like even Claire, this is or like, you know, how are you dealing with things and how are things going? And I'm like, well, they're going all right. And they're like, oh, and different friends and people would talk about how they're doing therapy and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. I do that once a week if I have a chance. And they're like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, I have a podcast. I just go and just unload everything that I'm thinking about on the podcast and then save myself a couple $100 every week to not have to talk to someone else about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all you fine people at home are my therapist. You never respond back. And I really regret and I really think you should start because I'm paying good money for this to do this podcast. So
Yes.
get to
We're
work.
we're paying a good $100 a year to do the podcast.
Yeah, and we're putting the time and effort into it. So
Yeah. Well, it's
I'm
been a
in.
good year, Mark. I mean, overall, it's been a good year. No
Yeah.
complaints really.
And
Um,
an honorable mention is that we started putting the show on YouTube now officially. We used to kind of put it on YouTube, but it was basically on Facebook and we would just copy it to YouTube. But we've definitely started to approach YouTube differently this year.
yes.
And it's been a slow build and it's slowly getting more and more traction on YouTube. And we appreciate everyone who sits through and listens to us yammer on for as much as we decide to yammer on each week about things.
Yeah.
So another one of my top things is you folks at home that actually sit and listen to us because I don't after the show. So I appreciate that you do.
Yeah. It's a
And
good thing.
stick around with all our stupid things that we do, like uploading the wrong audio for a show randomly, like some people have done, or uploading shows that
Not the full show.
not the full show when it says on the edit system that it is the full show. And then there's an update to the edit system and they have a new way of doing it and you have to do it in a different place. So yeah, so we appreciate all you guys for listening and watching.
There you go.
So
And then yeah, thank you for everybody watching. And a quick note, Friday, our Scrooge episode that we recorded back in 2013
yes,
going out on our audio platform
yes,
on
we actually
Spotify.
did. For those who don't know what we're talking about, in 2013, that's all we've been doing this show. We're 660. This is the 669th episode of this show that you're
Yeah,
watching right now. We started this in 2011,
something like that. Yeah.
I want to say around there.
2011, 2012.
Yeah. Brian used to have these grand ideas that we would do radio plays
Yeah.
and redo them. We did War of the Worlds, I think. Did we do that? Or was that one you wanted to do?
I wanted to. All we've done is Scrooge and It's a Wonderful Life. And It's a
Yes.
Wonderful Life was a shit show.
Yeah,
Scrooge
because you
came
didn't know
out,
how long the movie was, even though I told you it's a very long movie.
the
There's a
script
lot
was
of
way
acting
too
in it.
long. Yeah, it was just too long.
Like 6 hours long. Because it's not
Scrooge,
you have to do like all the things.
Yeah. Scrooge came out very well.
Yes.
And I re-aired it back in 2018. So I figure, hey, it's been 5 years. Let's put it out again. So that'll be dropping on Friday.
Mm.
And then the Matt Ryan episode that's on YouTube will be hitting the audio version the first week of January, and
Yes.
we'll be back the second week of January.
Yeah. And that weekend of New Year's Eve, actually, CliffsCon happening at the Plainville VFW. So if you're looking for something to do New Year's Eve day before you go out partying to ring out the new year and ring in the new one, swing by CliffsCon because Matt'll be there and he'll have Brenda available for purchase.
Nice.
So you can get your Brenda and then go home and listen to Matt talk about Brenda the next day. So a nice little joint package. And if you mention the podcast, Matt will give you a thumbs up and thank you for mentioning the podcast.
Right, totally.
And I might be there. I'm not sure yet. We still haven't decided.
All right. Well, we got Jeremy Hutzel's birthday that day
Yes.
for lunch.
Yes.
So, all right, let's get out of here, Mark.
Let's get out of here.
Everybody, have a great, happy holidays and happy New Year.
Yes. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. We'll see you all next year here on Economics. And as always, be safe, be well, and be kind.
And rewind. See you in 2024.
Good night, Mom.
Good night, Mom. Good night, Mark's mom.